Hi, I'm Si.
And I'm Al, and we are
Two Men
Two Men in the Motor. Welcome to Two Men in the Motor. As you can see, I've escaped from under the stairs. Lockdown's been lifted a little bit. I'm in the conservatory, so this week's a special one. We've got our first special guests, which is Rob Knight from Rescars blog. Rob, hello mate. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your blog, what you do?
Yeah, so basically we're just a sort of standard automotive news website. We cover all sorts, whether it's sort of a...
Standard, don't put yourself down like that. You're an excellent website.
No, well... we do all the same stuff as everyone else, really. We cover all the news, £15,000 city cars to £250,000 supercars, like anything with four wheels. We're covering it, really. Do reviews, guides, stuff like that. So there's a lot of useful information on there if you want to check it out.
What's the address exactly? Give it a plug on.
It's just rescars.com, so simple as that.
And this week you've been really busy. There's loads of stuff on this week. Noticed?
Yeah, there's been new cars, facelifts, a couple of interesting cars up for sale at auctions as well. So there's plenty of interesting stuff on over there at the moment.
Great. So get over there once you've watched this. Watch this first, okay? Si, do you want to tell? This is your idea this week. What's it all about, mate? Go on.
Yep, I had a bit of a brainwave, Al, and I thought, right,
that's not like you. Go on.
I could smell it, I could smell the cogs burning in my head. I thought, what car would you buy today in 2020 from your childhood? Now, I know that's difficult for you, Al. That's why we brought Robin, because, what did you do? Ride the Stegosaurus or Flintstones car or something like that?
May as well have done, mate. Yeah, we see the state of my choices. Bloody hell.
So, yeah, just to get the old grey matter working, what would you buy today that you could use as a daily? So what would you buy today that you could use to do all the jobs? Go to the supermarket, take the kids to school, have a blast down a country road, park outside the restaurant. What car would you buy from your childhood that you could use every day today?
Okay, so I'm going to go first because mine are the old bangers. Let's get them out the way, shall we?
Okay, so just to give you a bit of clarification, we've all picked four cars from our childhood. We're going to discuss those four cars. The other two guys are going to ask the questions or anything that they want to know to the person who's talking about the cars. And then we're going to put forward one of those four cars forward to a Twitter poll. And then everybody on Twitter can decide who the overall winner is. But it's not going to be you, Al.
Might be. You might get some people you like a bit of class out there, do you know what I mean? You never know. Right, so first of all, it's my choices, it's Al's choices. Okay, so my first one is a Ford Cortina 1600D Mark II. Looking at the front of that, I mean, that's just a gorgeous, gorgeous car. Oh, by the way, if you listen to this in our podcast, I'll be putting photos up on Twitter and Instagram. If you're watching it, you'll be able to see the photos, okay? Look at that front. That's what you call the front of a car. Rob, you'll find out that I don't go much on mechanics. I go like I like the badge, or
yeah.
I like the way the headlights looked. I'm a bit daft with that. But look at that badge in the middle with a big C on for Cortina. That gets me. That. A bit of information about it. The Cortina Mark II was from 1966 to 1970. What I've done is I've picked roughly from 69 to 82. Okay. Roy Haynes designed it, and I think that's the guy who did Haynes manuals.
No.
Well, it's Roy Haynes. It's the same name, isn't it? So I'm guessing he's got something to do with it. I can check that out.
I would.
I mean, it's an unusual name. 1600D, and there's a Lotus version as well of this, which was always, you can look at that. It's always in a cream livery with a green stripe down it. That was always the Lotus version, but I'd have the 1600D. You could get a 1300 engine or 1600 engine. Right now, the 1600E top speed was 96 miles an hour, which isn't bad.
Blistering.
That's not bad for then. That's not bad. 0 to 60, 11.8 seconds. Kind of does me that, to be honest, yeah. If you look at the photo from the back, again, that's just a That's a gorgeous rear end of it. That sounds too not pervy enough. But if we look at where the fuel cap is as well, right on the back, not on the side. Love that. And a black registration plate always gets me no matter what car it is. Look at the interior photo. That just shows you how far we've come on in interior safety. Because look at this one, look at the size of that steering wheel. That's enormous. I've actually been in one of these, so I know what it's like inside. I think I might have picked this because this is probably the first big car I ever went in. I went in one of these when I was about 4 or 5. I'm thinking this car's enormous. So it kind of always stuck in my mind. But that steering wheel's made out of very hard plastic. It didn't collapse. You've got no airbags. If you had a head-on on one of those, you'd have no chest left, basically. So, not you'd have a head-on in a car as slow as that. But, you know, that could do some damage. But that also the dashboard as well is pretty much the dashboard of its day with the choke buttons and all these little knobs and proper dials. So yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love it. So that's not impressed you at all, has it?
I think the question that I need to ask here is why?
Why?
Yeah. Why have you picked that car? Why
like I said, it was probably the first big car I've ever been in, so it's always stuck in my head. Ford Cortina is just an icon anyway. It's an iconic car. It's still really cool. Practicalities: 4 doors, 5 seats, quite a big boot, big engine-ish. You know,
I mean, it's a standard Clio engine these days, but big engine.
You know, back then, I mean, you know, it would do everything.
Yeah.
So, would it be reliable? Have you picked that because of its reliability? Would that get you fit to drive?
It's as reliable as any other of my choices.
So no, then.
Doesn't answer the question.
No. Look, I'm at a disadvantage here, aren't I? Because I'm picking old cars. So they're all unreliable. They're all difficult to get parts for. I just can't help that because of the age of cars. That can't be helped. Okay. So
it's a nice car. I do like it. I agree with your choice. It is a nice looking car. And obviously from this car, you obviously ended up getting some of Ford's other, like this sort of stemmed Ford sort of like performance saloon move in the end, didn't it? So like even modern ones like the Mondeos, like the ST version of the Mondeos, they all came from this car effectively. So like you say, it is a bit of an icon.
Absolutely.
Rob, you can come on again, mate. I like that. It's very good. Shall I move on? Any more questions?
Not from me, no.
Okay.
Just
one really quick one.
Go on.
It's only a very basic question, but to build up a picture, what would be your colour scheme?
Oh, kind of a metallic light blue.
Did they come with vinyl roofs or anything, or would it all be blue?
I think you could get vinyl roofs, yeah. I think you could. If I had one of a vinyl roof, I'd have a black one or a navy blue one.
Yeah.
And chrome, obviously.
And I don't suppose you got any kind of interior choice, did you, back in the day?
Black.
Yeah, I was going to say, would you get to choose the colour of the fabric on the seats or anything like that at all?
Black.
Yeah.
That was it. I think the idea of having coloured seats in those days was just, nah. So, yeah, black. I'm only saying that because the photos I've seen, they've all got black interiors.
Yeah.
And when I went to, it was a black interior, so I'm assuming it was a black interior.
The colourful leathers and stuff like that would have been reserved for the sort of higher. It's more of a common thing in modern cars, but then back then you would have expected to see that on like your Jaguars or stuff like that.
Rolls or stuff like that,
yeah.
Yeah. Right, second choice, the Triumph Herald. Okay. Now, there's two of these, but I would pick the Triumph Herald Vitesse. That was your top one. That was your sporty one. Okay. The Triumph Herald itself was 1959 to 1971. But in the 70s, they were just still everywhere. I used to see them loads. Let's see if I can say this in a nice... I'm not going to try an Italian accent now. Giovanni Michelotti designed it. You get it in a saloon convertible, a coupe, and a state and a van. I remember the vans.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, van. Yeah, all bases covered, you know. You want somewhere to put your bodies, just get the van. It was great. The Herald was the 1360 model was 0 to 60 in 17 seconds.
Wow.
And top speed's 85 miles an hour. That's great.
Rip your face off.
Now, the Vitesse was the sporty one. Now, Vitesse is French for speed. So isn't that just a cool name anyway?
It is.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
Vitesse.
it's like the Bugatti Veyron, doesn't it? There was a Vitesse version of that, I think. So it's
Yeah,
effectively
there was.
the car. That's the Bugatti Veyron you've got there.
Of its day. Yeah, of its day, maybe. 0 to 60, no. The Vitesse was 6 cylinders. There was a 6-cylinder version of the other engine, okay. Top speed, 106 miles an hour, which isn't
Not
bad.
bad.
That's fairly respectable, yeah.
It is, yeah. 0 to 60 in 11.4 seconds, which isn't so good, but
that's 6 seconds quicker than the standard one.
it is, mate. Yeah, so they really pulled in, didn't they?
It's just a substantial increase, isn't it? That's a big improvement. So, like you say, like the test meaning speed, they have at least backed it up, haven't they?
Yeah. It's just a cool-looking car as well. Look at that difference. That's just beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous.
I don't know about that.
Oh, that's great. This is your kitty, that I love it. And the back, the way the lights sort of stick out, like to the point of the back, is just amazing. The interior, that's the interior of a Vitesse, so leather seats. Very old-fashioned, though. I mean, that must have been an early 60s model, I think, because that's not 1970s. That's really old-fashioned, with the wooden dashboard and everything, and putting your keys in the dashboard as well. That's yeah. I bet be a get to drive though. That gear stick is not inspiring confidence in me at all. I think that clutch would be awful. But anyway, okay. So that's my second one. Any questions?
I mean, it's thrown out. Black interior being the only option out of it, hasn't it? With the bright red seats there,
Like red, yeah.
Trousers, but other than that, yeah. I mean, again, like, sort of, is there any particular reason that this one sticks in the mind for you from that time?
No, I would just feel cool driving it.
Do you remember these back in the day when you were a kid, Al?
What, mate?
Do you remember these? Did you see these on the roads, or were they
quite a few.
Did you?
Yeah.
Even the Vitesse versions?
No, you didn't see many of them. Some Heralds, yeah. We saw them into the 80s. So people who had them really looked after them. They really, took care of them. Yeah. I'm not going to pick that one, by the way, because it's not practical. It's not my choice.
I mean, it could be. Like you say, you get the sort of the van versions, the estate versions. So it was a versatile car, so you could see why it might have been popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
It's something for everyone, really, doesn't it?
It does. Same as popular, though. Not as popular as the next one. Next choice is the Renault 4. Now, I know you're thinking, why has he picked this? Look at the state of it. It's a unique shape.
You're going to have to sell this one to us, Al. You're going to have to really sell. We gave you an easy time on the Cortina and the previous car, but this one, you're going to have to sell to me.
Again, Rob, you're going to think a complete nutcase. When you hear one of the reasons why I like this, you're going to think, what am I doing on this podcast? Right, so the Renault, I'm going to give you the mechanics first of all. The Renault 4, L, the L, and then the GTL. The L was 1961. The TL and the GTL came in 1978. This was designed to compete against the 2CV. If you look at it, it's a very similar car to the 2CV. It's just like a 2CV, but more square, and it's got a proper roof on it. Other than that, really, if you look at the interior of it as well, exactly the same inside of the 2CV with the pull-push gear shift. It's just exactly the same. But it was like that on purpose. I'm thinking, would that happen these days? Would you get a manufacturer designing a car almost exactly the same as another car just to compete with it? Probably wouldn't happen these days, would it?
I don't know, really. I mean, you do get identical
similar ones.
Cars, don't you? So, like, if you look at a modern car, you'd look at the Subaru BRZ and the Toyota GT86.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if you go back in like other, not even just sports cars, like if you go back sort of 10 years ago, the Volkswagen Charan, the Seat Alhambra, and the Ford Galaxy were all the same car.
Yeah.
So it does just kind of make it a lot easier to sell, I guess.
Yeah, but the Charan and the Alhambra were the same car, weren't they? Just had a different badge on.
Yeah. I see what you mean. So like kind of more actually like using their
Suppose Ford brought a car out. Suppose when Ford brought the Ford Focus out, suppose Vauxhall had gone, we're going to design something exactly the same as that. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't really happen now. You get similar cars, but
the Renault 4 is probably the same looking as the 2CV. Is it one the Renault 4 is like a box, and
Yeah.
the 2 TVs like an upside down pram.
Well, I did say it's like a square 2 series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose the thing
I'm
is,
losing
as well,
this. I'm losing
back
this
then-
fight, aren't I? Go on, go on, go on.
You are losing this, like, yeah.
So you're
back
up, go on.
then, now cars are based off the previous version, aren't they? So it's not like a Mark 1 Golf would have maybe been based on an old like Peugeot or something like that. It would have had to be, because it's not been a thing before. So they've had to take inspiration from something, I guess. So that'd explain why you don't see it so much these days.
Okay, fair enough.
Back in your box, Phil.
I'm
Back
shot
in
down
your
the flames there, which is, yeah, absolutely fair. Okay. Descended production in 1992. Still making it in
Wow.
1992.
Not really.
Yeah. And they started working on a replacement then. Sorry, started working on a replacement in the early 70s. They were going to replace it in the early 70s. Never replaced it in 1992. And that was the Twingo. Yeah,
I
Twingo.
would have played that as well, to be honest.
I can't believe it's gone from Renault 4 to Twingo.
Yeah,
Yes,
I know.
odd. But then it's Renault, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
But I think, well, let's do this first. Okay, hang on a second. It sold over 8 million copies, 8 million units out worldwide. 8 million. That's an awful lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of driving about, isn't it?
But wait till you get the performance right. 0 to 60, 21 seconds. You could run faster, couldn't you? The 1,108cc engine was top speed 78 miles an hour. So it's just a complete utility vehicle. It wasn't meant to be anything special. It was meant to get French farmers around, really, like the 2 Series did. You know.
Yeah.
Saying that though, I bet if Renault brought that out again now, do you sell bucket loads of them because of the retro thing?
Like that.
I think they would, you know. I think they would.
You mean like sort of
The looks of your faces are hilarious.
like retro mod version? So like, you know, like Aston Martin have done, where they've made old cars out of modern materials. Do you mean like that, with literally that design, or a new version of it?
I would have that design, but more modern inside, obviously.
So you mean like the
retro one, isn't it?
Like a Beetle. Like a VW Beetle.
Yeah.
They did a version of that. I reckon sell by the bucket load now. Because Renaults are so dull now, so boring. That's not boring. No, you don't have it at all, are you? You don't have it. All right. Oh, no, another reason why I picked this, and this is where you're going to think I'm mad, Rob, right? I always had this, just bear with me, it's a long story, okay? I still have it now. I always had this vision of me driving this car in a desert. And I never knew why, right? I just had this vision of it. And then I think what it was when I used to walk to school, I used to walk past the Renault dealership every day, 4 times a day. And there's probably one of those in the window, along with a 19 or an 11 or one of those. So it's probably stuck in there because of that. But we're looking at the photos I sent you. One of them is this rally car, this Renault 4 rally car. And they go in the Paris-Dakar rally. And I've probably seen that somewhere, and that's probably stuck in my head. I've got this vision of me driving a Renault 4 in the desert, sand everywhere, like Lawrence of Arabia. I mean, I'm not going to pick it because of that. Okay, but that's just one of the reasons why I picked it. I told you I'm nuts, Rob, didn't I? I told you.
Yeah.
Rob's going, yeah, all right, yeah, all right. So.
The story adds up, I guess. At least it's not completely out there. Like you say, it's got the rally design and stuff like that, so you can see why. That's the sort of.
I bet it lasts as well. I bet it. You know, it's a tough little car. That.
It's a Renault. It'll last.
Okay.
You've had enough. You're lucky if you buy a modern French car and it lasts. I mean,
yeah. No, we've had this discussion, Rob. Al has got some weird thing for French cars. I don't know what it is, but it's just.
It's because he used to own a Citroen, didn't I? So I've always loved Citroens, apart from now they're garbage. But Simon's not agreed at all. But it's, again, it's for another time, isn't it, mate?
Not so.
The front end's like your face, Al.
Unique. Right, last one from me is the MGBGT. Let's do it quickly. No, it might be. The 1.8 was made from 1965 to 1980, but there's also a V8 version from 73 to 76, designed by Pininfarina, which I didn't know. That's why it looks so fantastic. Top speed, 105 miles an hour, 0 to 60 in 14 seconds, which I thought would be better.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter when the car looks that good, I suppose. For me, it's just a beautiful looking car. And this is like sort of, we didn't have supercars back then. Back in my day, we didn't have supercars. We had sports cars. And that was the sports car you could aspire to own. Like, you're never going to own a Ferrari or an Aston, but you could own an MGB, you know? So that's the kind of car you look at, you go, I could have one of those one day. I think that's why I've always loved it. Just a great car. Love it. Interior as well. Big MG on the steering wheel. Just that cool.
You'd have to have your driving gloves on for that.
Driving gloves and a flat cap, definitely. So I'd go all the way for that one. Yeah. I'll just go. It's just a reminder of how garbage MGs are now. MGs are not MGs.
Yeah.
No.
And it's a shame. Okay, so MG.
Yeah.
I should know this, shouldn't I? I should know this. Is it Morris Group?
Morris Garages.
Morris Garages. Okay. I could have said Motor Garage. But I didn't. Okay, so what do you think the winner's going to be?
It's got to be the MG for me.
It's got to be.
Yeah, it's between that and the Cortina, I think.
If it's anything else, then we're over. This channel's done.
Yeah, the thing is as well with the MG, it's carried. It's probably of your four, it's the one that's kind of maintained its reputation. Like, it's still a popular car now. Like, when people look at buying a classic car or restoring a classic car, it's one of the first cars that comes to mind for me personally, anyway. And you do actually still see quite a few of them about, so it kind of answers the question as well of how would it cope today? Like, they've lasted, and you might actually still be able to use it.
Definitely. I mean, at first when I picked them, the choice was the Cortina because of practicalities, the size and the 4 doors and all that. But then the MG, I just think, and again, this is purely down to shallowness on my part, but I'd feel amazing driving it. I'd still feel great driving it. It'd be a pleasure to drive every day.
Yeah.
And like you said, Rob, as well, I think it'd be easier for parts and stuff, thinking about stuff like that. So yeah, my winner is the MGBGT. Okay. But I need to give an honourable mention to the... I need to give a mention to the Vauxhall Viva, even though I hate it, always hated it, always will hate it, and the new ones are even worse than the old ones. It's just one of those cars that sticks in your mind from the 70s because they were absolutely everywhere. You could go out, walk to school, walk down the road to the shops, and you'd see 5 or 6 Vivas. Everybody had one. So even though I never liked them, I'll never forget them, if you like. Do you know what I mean? So, God mentioned the Viva, but there's absolutely no chance of me even looking at photos with them, never mind talking about them. Right, so yeah, winner MGBGT. Si, you're next. What's your first choice?
Okay, I think before I get into my choices, I think I just need to say how lucky I was being born in the 80s, because what a fantastic choice of cars.
No, mate, you were unlucky being born in the 80s, and do you know why?
Why?
Because you missed the 80s.
Well, yeah, this is true.
Yeah.
Truly the best of times, but carry on. Go on.
But before, like I said, it was got to be a daily driver. You know, you look at all the supercars that came out in the 80s, the F40, the Diablo, there was some cracking Aston Martins. You just couldn't bypass those cars. But again, I'm not getting the shopping in an F40, am I? So I had to knock it on the head pretty quickly. But yeah, my first car is the Audi Quattro. And
okay, go on.
This is in my 4, but I'm not really too sure why. I'm going to be totally honest with you. It's got all the performance. It's got a 2.2 litre engine. It did over 130 miles an hour. Rally pedigree, motorsport pedigree. But I'm just not too sure why it's in. Now, it must be ingrained in my head from childhood, a bit like your cars also. I remember them, and I remember them being around. I remember them being on the telly and stuff. But now, as a 35-year-old man, would I pay upwards of £30,000-40,000 to own one as a daily? Not really. Am I sold on the looks? I can see the looks being like quite, not controversial, but I can see the looks being quite out there in the 80s. Maybe I needed a suit and a big mobile phone for one of them. But I don't really know why it's in there. So what do you think, Al? What were your initial thoughts when I put that in?
I'd have been surprised if you hadn't put it in.
Really?
I was fully expecting that. It's an absolute
Were you?
80s. Yeah, it's an absolute 80s icon. It's an Audi Quattro.
It is an 80s icon. Yeah, absolutely. And you're absolutely right there. And you've already picked it up more than I maybe should have done. But yeah, I'm just not an Audi man. Just not an Audi man.
Well, in the context of the time, if you saw when I saw one of those in the road, you're like, "It's an Audi Quattro. Look! There's one of there's a car that excited you to see. It's just awesome." So you're gone.
Yeah, see, I'm the same. I'm not a massive fan of Audi myself. I like they do good cars. There's no denying that. But there are just things I'd rather have. But like Al said, I would have been surprised if that wasn't in there. The Audi Quattro is such an iconic car, and with that Quattro system, you look at the cars that have come from that.
Oh, exactly.
It changed the game really.
Yeah. It's a bit like Al's Cortina, isn't it? That started everything that's good about Audi now.
Yeah, exactly.
So even if you don't like your choice, we like it.
Well, I like it. Obviously, I wouldn't have picked it if I didn't like it. If there wasn't something about it. Like certainly when I was scrolling through the classifieds and looking for 80s cars, I just instantly stopped on that. I went, oh, got to put that in. So it certainly did give me that feeling. It gave me that fizz when I saw it, and I was scrolling through and looking at all the pictures. But then when I went and found other cars and my other choices, then the Audi started to fall further and further down the pecking order. Rob's absolutely right. The Quattro system and everything that's come from that, and all the motorsport and all the pedigree and rallying and everything else has all stemmed from that. But it's at the bottom of the pile for me in my 80s icons.
Okay, and fair enough, but we're talking virtually. When me and you got for 2004, so we like playing games sometimes. I used to scroll through the gallery of cars you could buy, and that was there. I was like, oh my God, the Quattro was there, fantastic, buy. As well as one, they didn't wait to buy. But but to be fair to you, I remember the fuss when they came out.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't. So it maybe means a bit more to me, but yeah, it had to be there. What's your next one?
My next one is I'm still torn here which one to put third.
Let's put them in order now.
I am putting them in order now.
Oh, okay, go on then.
That's the way it works.
Fair enough.
The Cosworth, the
Escort.
Escort, the RS Cosworth is going third.
With that back wing.
Yeah.
That's the only reason to buy it.
I mean, it's not the only reason, is it?
Well, no, it's not. But fair enough, I didn't remember the Audi, but I certainly remembered this Escort. And there was a fella at the bottom of our road, and he had one, and he had a blue one, and it was absolutely stunning. And as a boy, you'd walk down the road, you go to the local shop or whatever, and that was parked outside. It was on the pavement. He was washing it or whatever. You were walking towards something. You knew you were walking towards a special car, and the vents in the bonnet, the wing at the back. It wasn't all show, of course. It had great performance again, a real motorsport pedigree. But looking at that as like an 8, 9, 10-year-old kid, you wanted one. I wanted to pass me test there and then and drive it.
Yeah.
Just incredible. I'd never seen anything like it before. The wing on the back of it's like a whale tail. It's just incredible.
I mean, that wing on the back, was there a need for that? Did it have to be that big, or would you just...
There was a need for it.
Well, honestly, it was... I don't know if you saw the episode. I don't know if you watched Wheel of Dealers at all. But they did an episode with this car, and it was supposed to have another wing. There was supposed to be 3.
No way.
Yeah, so there's like in the middle, obviously, you've got the little lip spoiler on the tailgate itself, and in the top wing, like in between them, there was supposed to be one more, and they actually like made one themselves and put it on it, and it had an impact. They put it in a wind tunnel, and it was functional. It wasn't just there for show. Like that genuinely served a purpose.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I had no idea about it. It was basically
No
a
idea.
counting error that meant it didn't get put on. Simple as that.
No way.
Yeah,
That's
but yeah,
brilliant.
it's absolutely incredible car. Do you remember the one that you used to see on your, like? Do you remember like the colour, the wheels? Like, is that the one you would want?
Yeah, like there's photos of a black one, and I couldn't find a blue one anywhere for sale. But it's that famous Ford blue colour, the very dark, deep blue. And I think he had the 5-spoke alloys on it, but I think the wheels were white.
Yeah.
And I just remember, and the first thing you saw was just how low it was, and the vents on the bonnet, and you just knew you were walking towards something really, really special. And now, as a 30-year-old fella, I just driving that would just give me pure pleasure. It's like I've spoken to Al a couple of times about owning a Ford Focus RS. I just think driving a Focus RS would just give you some immense driving pleasure. And yeah, that's got to be in there. And the only reason why it's third is because my second choice is almost mythical.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I mean,
go on, say up, go.
It is a great choice, and again, this is one that I would have heavily judged you for if you didn't include it in this list.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and the blue with the white wheels, I've got to agree with you. I mean, on the Wheeler dealers, they actually had the OZ, the rally wheels on it.
Oh yeah.
Which again,
incredible.
If I was to have one, that's how I'd want it. But the blue, it's got to be, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And all these cars that I've picked as well, they're all appreciating in value. They are all going to be modern day classics. They're going to be worth an absolute fortune. That Audi Quattro wasn't even the best one that I could find. It was the one that gave the clearest photos for the channel and everything. But that was £40,000.
Yeah.
The Escort RS is more than that again.
I saw one of these for sale on Facebook the other day. It was black. It had gold wheels. It looked really nice. It was immaculate condition, and it had over 80,000 miles on it. And this guy was still selling it for about £55,000.
Yeah,
massive amounts of money. And you think about the modern cars you'll get with that money, and that just says it all about how good this car is.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So, if anybody's out there that's got one and wants to let me drive it and fulfill a childhood dream, then give me a shout.
Or have it. I'll take it off your hands. That'll sit on my way for as long as you want it to.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's third place for me. Any questions on?
No, not for me. I mean, I don't totally understand why you picked it. For me, I always think of that was in white.
Do you?
Yeah, I don't know why. White with a blue stripe down the side.
Really? Never saw a white one.
I saw that's more from the RS2.
RS, isn't it?
Yeah.
Previous model. That was sort of like the iconic colour scheme for that, wasn't it? Almost
that's what get mixed up then. I must be getting mixed up with that then. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, for me, it's anything with Cosworth on the back. You're going to be okay, isn't it?
It is.
Absolutely.
Si, what's this mythical second one? So you say it doesn't exist really, or?
Well, no, it does exist. Urban legends, or legend.
Bit of a unicorn.
Yeah.
But unicorns never existed, so go on.
Well, we don't know that.
Yeah. It's the Vauxhall Carlton, the Lotus, and again, just what a car. You know, before this came around, everyone was just talking about German super saloons and everything else, Mercedes, BMW. They were the cars that everyone was wanting, everyone was aiming for, everybody was hoping to own. And then out of nowhere, Vauxhall came along with this absolute weapon, with doing 170 to 174 miles an hour. It was so powerful, right, that the Daily Mail tried to ban it.
Now, are you sure, Mason? I know you blame the Daily Mail for a lot of things, but banning the Lotus Carlton.
Yes, the Daily Mail, the British publication, tried to ban this car. It was too fast. It was too unsafe. It was clocked for speeding on the motorway, wasn't it? I think that's where it got the 170 mile an hour thing from. People just didn't. It was like it had landed from outer space. You know, Vauxhall producing a big businessman carrier just wafting along the motorway, and then all of a sudden Lotus come along and blow all the German marks out of the water totally.
Yeah.
And you look at it again, it's a bit like the Cosworth. You look at it, you know that's not just a normal Carlton. It's so low, the wheel arch is nearly scraping the top of the wheels. It looks really aggressive and low at the front, but then you open the door and there's quilted leather in it and wood paneling, and you're thinking, am I really doing 170 miles an hour sat in a big leather recliner? It's just absolutely brilliant. And the green colour scheme, the green is so dark it almost looks black.
Yeah.
It is just an incredible vehicle. The horsepower, the performance, the speed. Nobody saw it coming. The whole motoring world did not see that coming. They might have seen, the Performance 190 Mercedes, the AMG. They might have seen the M3, but nobody saw Lotus producing something that would just obliterate everything else. I think somewhere is it quoted them being faster than a Testarossa or
I was just about to ask you, what was it at the time? Wasn't it the fastest going road car in the world?
I think it was. It was certainly the fastest saloon car.
Yeah.
And it's
the fastest Vauxhall, anyways. Fastest sub.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. But yeah, again, a real appreciating modern classic. I found one, I think it might be the photos that I sent you. It was a Silverstone auction, and it was impeccable. It just been fastidiously owned by the owner. I don't even think it was driven particularly. I think he just sat in it and made the noises of the engine because it had hardly any miles on it. And I think that was the auction, the reserve price on that was at least £72,000. So yeah, just absolutely. And again, something that you're absolutely right. I miss the 80s because I was born in the 80s, but I think if I was old enough, I think I mostly would have died in a head-on collision with a tree because that would have just gone everywhere at 100 miles an hour.
I think one of the strange things about it as well is looking at the interior of it, it looks extraordinarily comfortable for such a fast car. Fast cars normally have not crappy interiors, but the functional interiors, bucket seats and roll cages and stuff, and that's like a very, very nice saloon car. But you can go like a rocket in it. So yeah, that would be I remember it coming out as like, hang on, Lotus to put an engine in a Vauxhall, and it's a Carlton.
Yeah,
what's that all about? It was just the most unbelievable thing.
From one extreme to the other, you again the rear wing on the back of the Escort and the Lotus Carlton hardly had any kind of, had a very small, more than a lip, but it was a minimal spoiler on the back of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just an absolutely incredible car, and again one that I just would love to drive and to own. And again, that could do everything. Fair enough, it's not a hatchback, but it's got a fair size boot in it. I could certainly carry 4 or 5 grown-ups in lovely comfort, and I could throw them down the motorway at 170 miles an hour.
Well, it takes something to make a Vauxhall Carlton desirable.
Yeah.
But Lotus did it, to be fair, because you'd have one somehow, wouldn't you? Rob, what do you think, mate?
Well, it's like you say, it's kind of on the opposite end of the scale to the Cosworth. Like, that's very obviously a fast car. You'd see this and you'd maybe pull up next to it at the traffic lights and you think, I'm going to have this guy. And then all of a sudden he's just gone because you'd have no idea. As far as you're aware, it's a Vauxhall Carlton. And then there's maybe like a few little kind of styling cues that give it away to people that know about it. But to your everyday driver, they're just going to see a Vauxhall. And then, look, again, like you say, with the interior, to have an interior that nice in a car that fast, it just wasn't the norm, was it? So, yeah, absolutely incredible car.
Awesome. I'm doing well here.
Like you say, you're lucky with the era you were born in. You've had a hell of a lot of decent cars to choose from.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this means that next one's your top one, then? Next one's your winner? Yeah,
and I didn't even... It was just bang. It was just straight in. That's what I'm having. And that's only when I kind of took a step back and you guys were picking 3 or 4 cars I actually did revisit. So I hadn't even considered the Lotus Carlton, the Escort, or the Audi. They just weren't in my head at all until I went back and had another look. But my winner, an outright winner, is the first generation BMW M3.
Okay.
And I don't think I actually need to say any more than that. but I will. 1987 BMW M3. Again, it is the start of everything. There's nothing German or a fast BMW that can go back. It can trace its roots back to that. If it's a fast saloon, traces its steps back to that very car. And again, the one that I picked is currently on sale for £130,000. It is just mind-blowing. It's a left-hand drive as well. It's not even a right-hand drive. It's absolutely immaculate. It's all black. Everything's on it is completely standard. It's not been cheapened or modified in any way, shape or form. It looks absolutely incredible. You'd walk out your driveway and you would walk out your front door and you'd instantly have a massive smile on your face. That car can and will do everything. I could take that car to Monaco and it would get looks. It can do everything. That can give me a blast down a country road. It can be a toy. It can take the kids to school. It can go to Tesco and do the shopping. I could park it outside Harrods. I could park it in Knightsbridge. So people are like, oh my God, look at that. I could take it on a road trip across Europe. It's German. It will just go and go and go and go. It'll be reliable. It's just that.
Okay. Okay.
I'm a massive BM fan.
He's rubbing the salt in the wound to it. He knows I'm going to top it.
just selling the car, mate, is selling the car. That's just you've sold that one. Okay. Yes, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, we all know the performance. We all know, the pedigree, the racing pedigree, and again, the size of the engine, the horsepower, and the speed. I don't need to go into that. It is just an absolute. It's an absolute modern day icon, and they're selling for over £100,000, and I'd have one tomorrow.
I mean, you look at, like you say, it's kind of all the modern M3s have stemmed from that, and then obviously the M4 has then stemmed from the M3.
Yeah.
The M4, is it the GTS, like the proper track-based version with the roll cage and everything? That was £120,000.
Yeah.
And so this, a 35-year-old car now, is selling for £10,000 more than that. And again, that just says it all. And I think it does help, like you say, it's completely original. People don't want it to have been modified or tinkered with. They want original parts on there. They want it to be what it is supposed to be, how BMW made it.
Yeah. And again, there's other cars that maybe I could have considered. I'm a massive Alpina fan as well and things like that. But just the history of that car, and like you said, Rob, what stemmed from it, and I could walk outside my house and go for a walk now and see McLarens, Ferraris, Mercedes, whatever, but I wouldn't see one of them.
No, definitely.
And it's that rare. Like you said, we were talking about the Lotus Carlton, saying it's almost like a unicorn. You don't see any. You absolutely don't see any. And to have one would just be absolutely brilliant. It would just be a dream for me.
Yeah. It's the saloon equivalent of the Mark 1 Golf GTI, isn't it? There wasn't anything like that before it.
Yeah.
And everything that there is now, not even just the BMWs, like your Mercedes, you mentioned the 190 earlier.
Yeah.
That was built as a direct rival to this car.
Yeah.
And again, this sort of kind of stems back to what Al said earlier. Is there a car that's been produced simply to rival another car? This is the perfect example, because so many companies brought cars out because they wanted to beat that car and they didn't do it.
No.
So it's going to win. We know it. There's no point even finishing the rest of the video.
I have nothing to add. I have nothing at all to add. It's a great car.
Awesome.
There you go.
Yeah,
right.
So that's me done, and that's the car that I'm putting forward to our Twitter poll.
Right, Rob, we're on to yours now, mate. What's your first choice?
My first pick is the Mark IV Volkswagen Golf. It's the 1.9 diesel GT that I've picked simply because of how reliable it is. It's a solid engine. It's 130 horsepower. So in a car that size, it's obviously with a torque from a diesel as well. It's plenty quick enough. And it's one of the most reliable engines I've ever come across. I mean, I work in a Volkswagen garage and we've seen these come in with close to 250,000 miles on, and they're still going strong. It's just a complete workhorse of an engine. And the thing is as well, they're cheap to run, they're cheap to repair, they're cheap to buy now. You'll pick one up for 1,500 quid.
Yeah.
And it will last you 3 or 4 years, even if it's got 150,000 miles on already.
Yeah.
It's nothing exciting. You're not going to break any speed records in it. It's not even going to be particularly enjoyable to drive on a back road because they can be a bit boaty. There's a lot of body roll on them, and it's not a particularly quick car at all. But just for a practical daily driver that you can still use today and will last, there aren't many things better, really, in terms of the reliability. And I mean, you're driving down the A1 in this, you'll get 65, 70 miles to the gallon out of it. It will cost you nothing to run.
Yeah.
It's just a great car. And the interior, it's a bit bland. It's a bit vanilla. There's nothing, it's not bad, it's not great. But it'd be a reasonable, you're going to have a comfortable drive in it. And like I say, it's not going to turn any heads. But
it does everything that it needs to do, though.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a great all-rounder.
Yeah.
You've got a reasonable amount of space in it as well. I mean, they're not as big as they are now.
No.
But even so, you'll get plenty of shopping in there, and you'll get kids, or you get adults in the back, maybe kids if you need 3 people in the back.
Yeah.
It will do it all. So yeah, that's my 4th choice.
Again, I think you're saying that you'd be disappointed and you'd judge me if certain cars weren't in mind. But again, we spoke about Volkswagen previously, and if there wasn't a Golf in your choice, you'd have to really, consider your choices. You would pick a Golf over putting a Focus in there. You'd pick a Golf over putting a 1 Series in there or an A-Class or whatever, because that is the bread and butter. Volkswagen's bread and butter to me is the Golf, the Polos, the things
absolutely.
like that. And that is the one that you can absolutely put your money on, that will, like you said, do everything. It'll do the mileage. It'll cost you nothing to run. It'll run you up and down the country in relative comfort. You can fill the boot full of stuff and go to the tip in it. It's an absolute workhorse. And like I said, that engine will just go round and round the clock. So a really valid choice, I would say, Rob.
It's like cars we've mentioned before, where it's this is one of the first cars that I really started to notice when I was young, that you would just see everywhere. Yeah. Everyone had it. Just dozens of them. You go out on a drive, you maybe be in your car for 10 minutes and you probably see 7 or 8 of them just on that little drive. It's such a popular car, which is testament to how good it is, really.
Absolutely.
And it sort of saved the Golf after the Mark III didn't really perform that well.
Yeah.
So in that sense as well, sort of a big car for Volkswagen, that was really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they did. So, that's why it's my 4th choice.
Great choice.
For me, the Golf's one of those cars where I've never actually had one, but I've always wanted one, but never bought one. And I don't know why I never bought one. But if you get, I'd still love a Golf now. I remember the Mark I's coming out and they were just amazing, especially the GTIs. And I think, why have I never had a Golf for? But I still would.
Next car's a Golf.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
The Mark I Golf GTI, like you just mentioned there, I mean, that car's effectively the reason I work for Volkswagen, because it started off just a love for the performance Golfs, the GTI particularly. And it's, like I said, there's no hatchback that you'd put ahead of it, really. No. It's always just done everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Great choice.
Like you say, the Golf had to be in there, really. Couldn't leave it out.
Let's move on, mate. What's your 2nd one?
So in 3rd, I do believe I've picked the Volvo 850R, which is it's one of the original fast estates.
The touring car pedigree as well.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, that actually wasn't an 850R. That was just an 850 that had been modified specifically for the touring cars. But the fact that kind of went in there, and it's this massive unit, and it weighed a ton, and it did so well. I mean, I think it actually got on the podium in one race. That was its best finish, and it just took everyone by surprise. I mean, there was the T5R special edition before that, which was kind of just before. I've picked 95 to 2005.
Yeah,
that came just before that. And again, if I was a few years earlier, this would have been replaced with the Audi RS2, which was the original fast estate, but this is sort of the first one that really surprised everyone. You didn't expect it from Volvo. They just had a reputation for a bit of bland, bit boring, but just safe and reliable. That was basically their forte. That was all they needed to be.
Yeah.
So for this to come in, and in terms of the practicality of it as well, I mean, the size of the car, the boot, you'd comfortably fit 5 adults in it, all whilst doing, I've got some notes on it here on its performance, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. It's a 2.3 litre turbo engine. 0 to 60 would take 6.7 seconds in a car that size, and it'd carry on upwards of 150, 160 miles an hour. So for a car like that, again, it's sort of like the Carlton, where you'd pull up next to it at the traffic lights. It's understated.
Oh yeah.
You wouldn't think anything of it, and then the next thing you know, it's just in the distance. Yeah.
I've actually driven not one of those, but the same estate, but obviously a lesser model. It was a hire car, and I went to Sunderland in it, and I remember it turned up at the front doors like, oh God, no, not one of these. And it's going to be like driving a tank. It wasn't. It was one of the easiest cars I've ever driven in my life. It was so easy. It was automatic though, and I kept doing emergency stops all the time, which wasn't good.
Yeah. I mean,
for the windscreen a few times, but it was just a fantastic car to drive. So comfortable, so fast.
Yeah.
Masses of space.
Yeah. And that's kind of one of the reasons it's been included. You could quite easily use it as a daily driver.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff you get in the back of it is unreal, because it's a lot of the modern estates, the back sort of arches down, so you lose a bit of the boot space, whereas that was literally straight across and straight down. You had as much space as you possibly could.
Wasn't it forte? Wasn't like its unique selling point that you could get a wardrobe in it flat?
I think so. Yeah, something like that.
Stupid like that. Yeah.
That's the only thing with owning an estate. I had 2 Montego estates for my sins. But everyone just used them as fans, basically. I was like, well, can you move this bed for us? Yeah, all right then. Every weekend I was moving something because I had a big car instead of had a small car. What's your third one, mate?
Okay, so in second place, I've got the Audi S4 Avant with the 4.2 litre V8.
Cool.
Again, this is one of the cars that stemmed from your Quattro. And I mean, it's a 4.2 litre V8. I mean,
what a sound, what a noise it makes.
Can't gripe with that. I mean, you hear them from a mile off. They're so loud, and I don't think my neighbours would enjoy me having it as much as I'd enjoy having it, to be honest. It would. There'd be a lot of angry faces at 7 o'clock in the morning, wouldn't there, when you start that up to go to work? But I mean, again, with the Quattro, got the V8, I'd have it with a 6-speed manual. I wouldn't want the automatic gearbox. Got the manual with that. That's, I mean, saying it's 4.2 naturally aspirated, 344 horsepower, and this is in 17-year-old car now. So that's a lot of power. Most modern estates don't produce that much power. That's a big figure. Top speed limited to 155. So it could just do everything. But you would say the problem is I put the Golf in to be a cheap runner and really reliable, really affordable. This is sort of the polar opposite.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they're reasonably cheap to buy. You can pick them up for sort of £5,000 or £6,000. They're not expensive to buy, but you're not going to get 50 miles to the gallon out of a 4.2 V8. And if it does, with the V8, that's a lot of components to go wrong in that engine as well.
Oh, yeah.
If something goes wrong, it's going to cost you a fair amount, which is what you would say is sort of the downside of having that car. But I think the fact that it is a 4.2 litre V8 just sort of drowns it out. I don't care anymore. I mean, V8. So again, and also, it's sort of the first car to have an engine like that in a normal car. I mean, like the BMWs had 6 cylinders for quite a while and stuff like that. But putting an actual out-and-out V8 in a practical car,
exactly,
thing.
Unheard of. Yeah.
So, and it'd have to be in the typical Audi blue as well, that light blue. It's just absolutely amazing colour. It's the same colour you get on the RS2 as well.
Yeah.
And it just looked absolutely incredible. I'll say, it's probably a valid second choice, but the first choice definitely trumps it.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait. There's got to be some car that beats it, Rob.
Yeah, exactly.
Go on then, what is it?
When I kind of got given the task of picking a car from my childhood, I just went straight to the M3.
Yeah.
It was just the first, like within a split second, that was on my mind. And I just pictured the exact one I'd want, the exact colour, the exact spec. It's actually the E46 M3 CS, so the Club Sport.
Yeah.
That's, again, a 3 litre straight six, 343 horsepower, so very similar to the S4. 60 and 5.2 limited, and it's a sequential gearbox as well. It's not manual, it's not auto. SMG, so sequential manual transmission, which again you'd probably say, like the Audi, that's probably like the expensive part to go wrong. Yeah, it did, but it's an M3. It's one of the best M3s there's ever been. Obviously, you've had more recent Club Sports stem from that. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. It looks great as well.
It gets better with age. Like most of the cars that we spoke about actually have not only appreciated in value, but they've got better and better as well. They look better.
I mean, the looks, it was sort of ahead of its time anyway in terms of the design, because the model beforehand looked like a 90s car.
Yes.
Whereas this BMW, you could have brought it out 10 years ago and it would have looked new, and it's a 17, 18-year-old car. Yeah. It's less practical than the other choices. It's not efficient. It's a coupe, so it's like you don't have back doors, you don't have a big boot or anything like that. But there would still be enough space that you could fit people in the back. It'd be awkward getting them in there through the front door. Yeah. It had a reasonable sized boot, so you could get shopping in there. You could use it every day. It'd be easier if you didn't have kids or anything like that, which I don't yet, so that's not a problem for me at this point.
Do it. Buy one.
But this is they are, again, it's one where they are starting to get more expensive. The Club Sport especially. I mean, standard E46 M3s, they are still quite pricey, but the Club Sport, because of just how good it was, and it wasn't exactly common either, they didn't make a lot of them. And for a decent one, you're looking at upwards of £25,000.
Yeah, great choice for me, Robert. See why that's your winner. It just looks like an amazing car. I mean, the styling of it, the vents in the front, the wheels, the coupe shape, it's just beautiful. The thing that bugs me is that that's a car from your childhood. Do you know how old that makes me feel? Because that's like, for me, that's like from yesterday. That's like last week for me, that. It's just so weird to think. How old are you?
24.
Oh my God. Okay.
11 years older than Rob. That's not good.
That's why I picked the Cortina. Okay, so right then. So
you gave an honourable mention to the Vauxhall Viva. The one that just missed out for me was the Saab 9.3 Aero. Bit more of an interesting choice than the Golf. It would have been the 2.3 litre diesel I wanted, which just came outside of my sort of 95 to 2005. But even so, the reason I like that, I don't know if one of the first PlayStation 2 racing games I ever played, that was like a track racing game, it was called Topa Race Driver. I don't know if you ever played it, but one of the cars that sticks in my mind from that game is the Saab. And it's like one of the first cars that I kind of really played with on it. So that's always, and it's just an underestimated car as well, I think. I don't think people appreciated it enough until Saab was no more.
I came close to buying one. It was either that or a Mazda RX-8, and foolishly I picked an RX-8.
How long did that last?
It didn't last long, mate, at all. It didn't last.
It's a story all in itself. Trust me.
Rotary engines, isn't it? They don't last at all.
You're right with Saabs. They're really, really solid. Make great cars. For me, it was a bit mysterious as well. Saabs, they were like, they make planes as well, and
is that the reason to have one? You know, you could sit in a Saab and pretend to be a fighter pilot.
It just added to the mystique, didn't it? It's like not like Daewoo, where they make microwaves or tellies. No, Saab made planes.
Their adverts were focused on fighter jets as well.
That's
The advert made you feel like you were a pilot for the road. Great idea. Use your niche.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Quality advertising campaign, isn't it?
Yeah,
Absolutely. Right. So, okay, that's us done. So my winner was the Ford. No, it wasn't the Ford Cortina. It wasn't. My winner was the MGBGT.
Yeah.
Size, yours was the BMW M3 first Mark 1, whatever you call it.
First gen, yeah.
First gen, yeah. And Rob, yours was the...
It was the M3 Club Sport E46.
So, 2 M3s versus an MGBGT. What do you reckon? We're going to put a poll up on Twitter and wherever else we can. And hopefully more than 5 of you bothered to reply. We'll have a result. So yeah, please get in touch and please apply to us. We hope you've enjoyed this. Rob, we'll see you again. Have you enjoyed it, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'll definitely be doing this again. I've enjoyed it very much.
Great. Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah,
welcome.
You didn't have to let me on, so it was really nice of you to do so.
So that's it for now. Thanks so much, and we'll see you again soon. Say bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
So we've got our winners, but which is yours? Is it ours from the 70s, the MGBGT? Is it size from the 80s, the BMW M3 first generation? Or is it Rob's from the Naughty Naughties, the BMW E46 M3 CS? To make your choice, head over to our social media. We're on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram and Facebook, all at 2 Men in a Motor.